our parents wouldn't be here, so we give thanks, and we're really glad to be a man in Tony's Barbershop who is here to video or interview this great man, Richard Redding, right? Who is inside the shop here. And I've known Richard probably nearly 2 years now, and he's a scholar, he's a man who's written a couple books, and he talked about the books, I know one of the books talk about is nothing about religion, Christianity and Islam, and also he written a book about the Atlantic slave trade. But he'll talk a little bit about that when I was speaking to him when I've been interviewing him. But we have a diamond in the community, that's the bottom line. A raw diamond, a man who's committed in terms of getting information to our people in the community. And to me, that we have a brother who's committed and focused around that, respect is due. And you see, the thing is this, right? Let's be quite clear that people think that we just come together, wave a magic wand, and things just happen like that. No, you have to work. And this brother's been working behind closed door to getting things done in the community. Richard, I could talk more to you for about 2 hours, or we ought to be scratching the surface, you see what I'm saying? But first thing, the name is Richard Redding, yeah? I'm gonna get that right, And Richard, why don't you just share with us your journey with us, my brother?
Yeah, my parents are African people, born in Jamaica. I was born in Bradford in West Yorkshire. I came to London to study. Always been interested in things pertaining to African, black people.
Right.
History, culture. But where I was born up in West Yorkshire, there was it wasn't a very progressive place at that time. So you really had to struggle to find out about your own history. What there was brother earlier used the term Eurocentric. The little that there was really didn't appear to me to tell our story. Mm-hmm. It seemed to tell it from a very biased perspective. So much so that the story they told, it didn't encourage African people, African rich people to actually engage in that history. Mm-hmm. It put you off. Mm-hmm. And if you did read it, you would have to have you'd have to apply critical thinking to actually read between the lines, mm-hmm. to reinterpret what they were saying. I came to London to study. I studied it was Caribbean history at the time, but that's all they had with regard to black people. That's right. As black as it got, studying the history of the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. Did that and studied the languages as well. So studied Spanish and Caribbean history. Very interested in obviously the African Caribbean role in all of that, the African role in all that. An interesting thing about the course that we studied, it began, black people sort of entered the picture via enslavement. Mm-hmm. So the first time you hear an account of African people in the Caribbean, you're told they arrived on slave ships. Mm. Slips of the slave master, and they were subjugated, they were abused and persecuted. A little, maybe half a lesson was spent on those Africans who resisted. Mm-hmm. And it was then a case of Mr. Wilberforce came and his friends and basically set the Africans free. But my parents, as I said, are from Jamaica. Mm-hmm. And my mom is from the east. And I remember when the first time I went there, I happened to go to Maroon Village. Mm-hmm. And found that fascinating. We heard about the Maroons and how they actually fought against their enslavement. And applying that to what we were taught in class, kind of thought, well, there's a disjunct here, man. There's some sort of a contradiction. There's something not right here. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, if you challenge that within an academic setting, you're in trouble. They said, actually that's not scholarly. Likewise, the books that we were reading at the time on our sort of course material, you couldn't they didn't want you to use any quotes from people like Walter Rodney.
Right.
No one interested in Eric
That's
Williams,
right. That's right.
as far as they're concerned. These ones scholarly books.
Well, I didn't want to cut you there, but not coming my straight away. You're thinking about Marcus Messiah Garvey, because are there any teaching of Garvey out in Jamaica in terms of teaching his philosophy in the schools? Them and a man who was a national hero, a man who organised 6 million black people worldwide. You know, never been done by anybody. In terms of his philosophy and getting things done, everything. Is there anything taught in Jamaica on Garvey?
Well, to be honest, I couldn't claim to be an expert on in terms of the school curriculum. All I know that when we were studying the history of the Caribbean, I think I can't remember any lessons featuring or focusing on Marcus Garvey.
Right.
And his message. I don't think there was none whatsoever, and which is kind of fascinating.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Fascinating. This man was a national hero. And as you say, you can't sum up Garvey and his influence. You really can't. But not to have anything that looked at Garvey to me was kind of, it was ridiculous. In all truth, that's the only term I can use. It was ridiculous. So obviously, for me, it was a voyage of discovery, and I think, it's important that we as a people tell our stories.
Tell us, that's right.
We get an opportunity to tell our stories. We tell it as it is, because if we don't tell it, other people will tell it and misinterpret it or reinterpret it or plagiarize it, do all kinds of things to actually ensure that the truth isn't there.
Well, you see, I agree 100%, because that's why it's important for us to have a forum like this where we can express and tell the truth as it is. So get the message out there, because what's happening now, people telling our message, interpret it how they see it, Well, just mixing up our head.
Well, exactly, but I mean, I'm old school in some respects. I'm old school because I like to put things down on paper. I know we've got new media now where you're talking about, Twitter or Facebook, blogging and
all about different things.
Exactly, websites and publishing stuff on the web, which I think is good. I still think it's good. I think it's fantastic. It's another way of disseminating our message, and we've got to be. We've always been progressive people, so I think we've got to embrace new technologies. But I still like to put stuff down on paper, and the book. I think there's something important about the book. Put it this way, in terms of our children in schools, I think they still use books. They still use books, and it's important that we can write books that find their way into the national curriculum, so that if they're talking about science, they will look at black scientists. If we're talking about history, they'll look at black history. If we're talking about sport, they will look at black famous black sportsmen and women and the role of black people in sport. So I think it's important that we A, get to tell our story, and B, we do our best to ensure that story is shared. Because like I said, people have made a fortune. Some of our Caucasian brothers have made a fortune out of telling our history, reinterpreting our history.
That's right.
I mean, you can get upset about it, but at the same point, what's stopping us from telling our stories?
That's it.
Do you know what I mean? What is stopping us?
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned earlier about hard work. It is hard work to write. It's hard work to research, and it's hard work to write. When I write, I get up early in the morning. I'm looking through books. I'm looking through online sources. I'm gathering information. Sitting down, you have to dedicate yourself. You say, look, every day I'm going to commit at least 3 hours to what I'm doing, regardless. That is hard work.
Hard work.
That is discipline.
In fact, I'll never forget this when the question was asked to Mars Monroe, head of Mars